How do I maximize the positive impact that I have on you as a person while we're in each other's lives? Maybe you're in each other's lives for 50 years. Maybe you're in each other's lives for 5. But I should always walk away from you better than I found you, both me as a person and you as a person.
I think true friendship and relationship is built on is holding that space for the things that you don't understand, for the things that you maybe don't like. What can you learn from them? And more importantly, what is that telling you about you?
This is Full Circle, the Magic Mindset Podcast. I am Matt Karlberg, one of your hosts, and I'm joined as always by Lea Lilly, my co-host. We aim to bridge the gap between my study of psychology and sociology and Lea's study of astrology. Each week we pick a theme and we approach that theme from the 2 different perspectives to come to a deeper understanding from both the astrological and psychological perspective.
If you missed out on any of our previous episodes, you can catch up at lealilly.com/Full Circle Podcast or on Spotify and iTunes by searching for Full Circle Podcast.
Lea, this is one of my favorite segments simply because it has a consistent name. This is 30 minutes in 30 seconds, and I am wondering, are you ready to give us your 30-second recap of last week's episode?
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. I forgot we even do this.
That speaks volumes to the podcast. Well, you remember the rules. I'm sure of that. The first time we did it was a very traumatizing experience for you. So I'll go ahead and count you in from 3. This is like rock, paper, scissors, go. I'll do the go, and that's when you go.
And I stop myself?
Yeah, I'm not going to interrupt you because I want to get all your little nuggets of wisdom.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go!
Astrology is a huge asset to friendship. When you know how your astrology relates with the people in your life, you can more fully accept and support them. We usually figure these things out by getting to know people over time, but astrology can be a surefire way to understand those things a little bit faster. We all change, and if you want to understand changes better, you can use astrology to do that.
That was really good.
Thank you.
It's like the 5-finger discount. You had to like get in, get out.
I don't know what that is either. You make so many references that I have no idea what you're talking about.
5-finger discount is just what you can take in your hand and steal. I don't know why I said it. But here's the thing that I thought was really interesting is when you're doing it, I feel like when I talk through those 30 seconds, I'm like, oh, I'm talking at a totally normal pace and everybody knows exactly what I'm saying. And I listen back to it and I'm like, oh, no, I was talking really fast and that doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying that that's how yours was. I'm just saying that's what I was thinking about while you were doing yours.
Yeah, because you kind of have to think fast, put it all together, and pray to Jesus that it makes some sort of sense. And most of the time, as you're talking, you're like, I don't know what I'm saying.
I think that my tongue has a little brain, and that brain thinks and tells the tongue what to say. Because I don't think my other brain, like my brain thinks that fast, but my tongue knows what to say.
I'm glad that you have more than one brain working within your system. I feel like that's just a very Gemini moment for you. I like it. Are you ready to do your 30-second recap?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready. I'm excited.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So friendship, to take a page out of the book of Shrek, is like an onion. There's a lot of different layers. And there's a lot of different types of onions, just like there's different types of friendships. Some are sweet, some make you cry. But the point is that we can build these relationships through a series of really complex interacting factors. And that's what we talked about last episode.
Onion friendship.
Do you have a favorite onion? Like, do you like onion in things? Like a chili?
I don't like onions.
Any type?
No.
Do you like onion rings?
No, I don't.
Bloomin' onion?
So anything with onion in it, I'm not going to like it.
Onion powder? Do you eat onion powder on things?
I've never put it on anything I've cooked.
Yeah, I think it's expensive to buy spices. I don't like onions either, but I went to my uncle's house once. Well, I've been there more than once. And he had Vidalia onions. It was like a dressing type thing, and they put it on their sandwiches, and that was pretty good.
I love how you said I went to my uncle's house once.
And well, I did go once.
And then
that was the truth.
And then clarify that you had been there more than one time.
Lea, I've been on this kick lately where I've been doing these in-home exercise routines off of YouTube. And so my body is feeling pretty great, but I'm hoping that your astrology segment can get my mind and my emotions right as well.
Oh, it definitely will. Looking at the astrology of the week is a great way to get our minds in the right place. Last week we saw a lot of planetary movement. Mercury entered Scorpio, Pluto went direct in Capricorn, Mars entered Libra. This week we're looking at a little bit less planetary movement, but still some really potent energy. We are still in the midst of Libra season, and this week I'd like to look at partnership. Libra is ruled by the 7th house, and that governs unifications, partnerships, and relationships of all kinds. It creates this need within us to complement our own energies with those from another person. It's the balance of the self with the balance of others, so this yin and yang harmony. Our own desires take the backseat as we make space for our relationships to take the forefront. It's time to look at your partnerships in love, business, and friendships. How can you hold space for the needs of others as well as take care of your own? Fairness and balance in relationships is the name of the game this season as we move from focusing on ourselves and our goals during Virgo season, during Leo season, and our wants and our needs, to opening up to hold space for the goals and wants and needs of others. This is a season for manifesting and building deeper relationships, as well as creating more good, healthy balance for yourself in those relationships. Are you surrounded with friends that bring value to your life and experience, or do you feel drained? Are your business partnerships, if you have them, healthy and fruitful, or more work than they're worth? Libra season also encourages us to look at our romantic partnerships. If you're in a partnership, how is the balance feeling within that partnership? And if you're not, what would you like to manifest in terms of a partnership? Some questions that you might want to consider are, how can you use the potent energy of Libra and our new seasonal change to create transformation, change, love, acceptance, and balance in your relationships over the next 2 weeks? Where could you benefit from more balance in general in your life? Are you giving as much as you receive in your relationships? And are you receiving as much as you give? We're also going to see Venus enter Scorpio this week on October 8th. This is going to create an energy of privacy and intimacy. So you might feel more private with things than usual. Be careful who you share things with and make sure they're trustworthy if you don't want the information you share getting out. This is also going to promote deeper connection and exploring that deeper connection. In conjunction with Libra season, this is only going to amplify the energy of powerful and potent connection. So explore how you can go deeper with those you care about, as superficial connections and interactions just won't do. Welcome to the Magic Mindset Theater. Please silence all cell phones, swipe away your notifications, note your nearest emergency exits, and please no flash photography of this morning's performance.
Enjoy the show. Lea sits alone at her desk. It's February of 2010. She emails Matt.
18. That's the number of tissues I wasted over you last night. 18. I wasted half of those 18 tissues while I poured my feelings out to you, as I usually do in those situations when I get weak while talking to you on the phone. After using the other 9 tissues, I realized something. It's something I should have realized a long time ago, but ruled it out as an option and refused to acknowledge it. We've been through a lot together, Matt. You know me better than anyone does and can read me like an open book. I know little about you. I know you about halfway, if that. I know the little you told me and the rest I had to put together or guess myself. Being in a relationship with you was great for the 2 years that it lasted, and I won't ever forget it. But like I told you last night, there was 2 roads I could have taken. I was faced with a choice. It was you or Elliot. I chose Elliot, Matt. That was my choice. At first, I said I wasn't sure if it was right or if things would have been different if I had stayed with you, but now I know and can say with confidence that I made the right choice and I'd do it again. I know in my heart I did the right thing for me, and that's what truly counts. Elliot makes me feel loved all the time. I never have to second guess it or ask him to say it. He calls me when he wants to and never says it has to be my turn. He never makes me cry or feel unsure of anything, and always makes me feel good about myself no matter how many times I complain about my weight or my friends. He listens and understands. Even though we weren't friends for very long before we started dating, my relationship with Elliot is based on a friendship as well as love. And I think that's what makes a strong relationship, Matt, is friendship. We know how to act like friends and boyfriend and girlfriend. We never had that, and we never will. Because as much as it pains me to tell you this, and as much as it may hurt both of us, I can't talk to you anymore. I put myself through unwanted and unneeded pain. Even now, you know what buttons to push to set me off or make me cry, even if you don't mean to. I'm sick of trying to fix a broken friendship, one that was never meant to be and never will be. It's like walking into a wall. I know it's there, and I know I will keep hitting it as long as I continue to walk where I'm walking. And for me and you, the wall we keep hitting is you. You stand in our way of being friends because I'm putting out more effort than I should be trying to make it work. Well, I can tell you that this ends now, and I'm going to walk in a different direction, and that direction is away. I'm walking away from you, Matt. Friends are open with each other, they care for each other, and they support each other. You say you care for me still, but I really don't believe it, and you know why? Because you're not convincing. To me, you're not a good actor, and I'm done pretending to believe you. I'm done working so hard to come up empty-handed every time. If you had wanted to make this work, you would have put more effort into it, but you refused to. I'm not worth it, Matt, so don't waste your energy on me. I'm done with your silence and your refusing to open up like I did to you. I don't know how we lasted as long as we did without you opening up to me. That's all I ever wanted from you, and you couldn't even give me that. So now I'm the one who gets to freeze you out and tell you that I'm done talking to you for good. I hope you have a great life, Matt. I mean that earnestly, and I hope you find someone who makes you happy and you can trust and open up to. I hope you get Ashley or Sarah to fall in love with you again. If you open up to them, it will increase your chances, Matt. Be willing to try new things and be willing to let people in and be willing to experience and grow. Be willing to take a chance, Matt, and let go. You will be so much happier. I'm really sorry it had to be like this, Matt, and it was a great 2 years that I would not take back for anything, but I had to do this for myself. So I hope you can forgive me and know that I tried to make friendship work. I really did. But it's just too much wasted effort. So please don't call me or talk to me. Thanks for the great 2 years. You'll be okay, Matt, and so will I. Several days pass. Matt's emotions are running high. He emails back.
I don't really get this. I'm not about to try to fix it because you're pretty much done with me. But I can't even imagine throwing away everything that we ever did. But if you want to, I'll let you. I don't know how you expected me to stay the same after we broke up. You were so much a part of me that for you to leave and immediately start dating Elliot was kind of a blow. That's why I was different, and that's why I couldn't open up to you. I never told you a lot about my dating past, but I have commitment issues. I've never been good with relationships. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to make you understand. Why even tell me that you made the choice and that choice is Elliot? You want to rub it in? Why make me feel like crap? If you're going to leave, just leave. Don't spit on me while you're doing it. Just from talking to you, I know that Elliot doesn't make you feel loved all the time. I've talked to you about him. He makes you upset a lot. Don't rationalize what you're doing here. If you're abandoning me, I want you to realize what you're really doing, and don't try to soften it for yourself. We talked about why I don't call you. You act like I'm to blame for everything, but to be honest, it takes two to have a friendship. Blame me for everything if you want, but realize that you're rationalizing again. What you're doing here is a permanent thing. I was going to try to respond to everything you wrote, but it isn't worth it. I tried to explain to you once why I don't want to open up to people. I tried to open up to you, and you either didn't like what you saw or you didn't understand it. Point is, I tried. Don't you dare try to tell me how to deal with the women in my life. I'll do it without you, thanks. I am perfectly capable on my own, and I'll be damned if I ever ask you for help again. You've changed me, certainly for the better. I learned a lot over our 2 years, and you took different lessons from it than I did, so thanks for the eye-opener. I'd like you to just send back that you read this, no other response is necessary, but I'd appreciate that at least. P.S. I feel like you overreacted to what could have been a very small situation. Try talking out your problem with me. I never shied away from discussing that kind of thing with you. Extra, extra, read all about it! Our featured business this week is Thesis Books. This is one of the only places where you can judge a book by its cover. This unique business offers incredible and one-of-a-kind hand-bound journals and books. Thesis Books seeks to share imagination and curiosity with adventure of all kinds. They believe that each of us is full of personality and that what you write, draw, or read should reflect that. You're bound to like this amazing and creative business. Whether you're an avid reader or just looking for a nice planner, turn the page to thesisbooks.com. Take a look, it's in a book, so head on over to thesisbooks.com.
Oh, gosh.
So, we were pretty dramatic children.
Oh, boy, were we.
Yeah. So before we really break this down too much, I think it actually makes sense to take a step back and explain some context here. Yes. And I think the context might help it make a little more sense. So I dug up emails from literally 10 years ago, and that's what this is. In 2010, I was a senior in high school, and you were a junior, a sophomore?
10th grade?
10th grade would be a sophomore, I think?
Yeah.
We had known each other for a while, and we had dated for a while, and then we had broken up, and you had started dating another person. I don't think our friendship was going very well after that. It's hard to be friends after you break up, but I think that really this is the culmination of that. And then it took us a while to start talking again, and I think it was infrequent phone calls, and then slowly it's come back full circle. You see what I did there? So where we are now, where, I think we talk every single day, at least over text, but I think most days we are actually on the phone with each other. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah, definitely. We've had such an interesting friendship, relationship, non-friendship, friendship. Our trajectory and path as friends has been so interesting to me.
Walk me through maybe some of the lessons learned from what we were doing in that stage in life, how you've applied it to future friendships, or maybe all you learned was, dear God, I'm never going to put anything in writing ever again.
Well, more than anything, approaching it as an adult now, or as much of an adult as I am at this point, it's really interesting to see, obviously, the things that are just super dramatic, like my 18 tissues moment was my Scorpio moon and just not knowing that emotional part of myself or how to handle it. And so when you don't, it comes out in these sometimes really venomous, huge explosions, which this is a great example of. I think one of the big things that I pulled out of this that I have noticed in a lot of my other friendships as well is that when you get to this point where you are expressing what you need in a friendship, how you're feeling, how the other person is making you feel, to me, that always signaled it must mean that the friendship is ending or it has to end because these are all the things that aren't working. I can't do it anymore. So it's over. And I think that's the way that my mind used to work in that realm around friendship was like, here's all these problems. There's no solution. The only solution is we don't talk anymore.
You wouldn't use that anymore, though, you don't think? That whole, we're not going to talk anymore?
No. And it's so interesting. You, especially us talking as much as we do now and our friendship being what it is now and having come back from this place, I think you specifically have really opened up my eyes to the fact that you can express the things that aren't working for you. And if you have a true friend in somebody else, they will hold space for that and potentially make some changes so that you can both feel more comfortable. And you wrote that in your email too. You said, I've always held space for you to talk about your problems. And you did. You absolutely did. And instead of using that wonderful gift that you wanted to give me, I made up the story that you weren't and that you didn't want to hear it. And this probably was all really going to hurt you and that our friendship was just done.
So it was kind of creating that space. And I do think it took us a long time. I don't really remember us talking with regularity again for several years. Honestly, it might have been when I was graduating college is maybe when we started talking with regularity again. It's about 4 years later, but it's almost like we might have gone a bridge too far saying some of the things that we said, but then we were able to bring it back by building that space where we felt comfortable confiding in each other again.
Yeah, and just being able to express the things that we were feeling without blaming or shaming each other, and instead saying, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. Is there something I can do to make that feel better or to work on that? Because our relationship is valuable enough to me that that's worth it. That is what I think true friendship and relationship is built on, is holding that space for the things that you don't understand, for the things that you maybe don't like. What can you learn from them? And more importantly, what is that telling you about you? And I think when you start to look at yourself instead of other people and how can I make her do what I want and how can I make him be the friend that I want him to be, it's like, what can I do to maybe not be triggered by that thing? Or what is this trigger trying to tell me? What change can I make on my end? And that will either create space for you to better know this person and better relate to them and deepen your relationship, or you might grow in a different direction and attract people who act in a different way because you've changed your own behavior.
That reminds me of a wise man who once said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And there's also the quote about, how you have to know how to love yourself before you can love someone else. And I think that that's so interesting when we talk about, like a couple weeks ago, we talked about love languages and things like that, where, you really have to, in order to give yourself fully to any relationship. And I think it's true for platonic, and I think it's true for romantic relationships as well. But the idea of, I need to be comfortable with who I am, and of course be open to growth. Nobody's ever done growing. But if I'm comfortable with who I am, then I can reach out and accept other people for who they are. I think that's how you get to a really comfortable long-term friendship where you and I are both constantly in growth. We talk about it all the time. Here's something that I'm really trying to better about myself. And I think because we're in that space, it allows us to move past some of those things and understand, hey, I'm a different person now than I was 10 years ago. I certainly hope so. But I think that that's such an interesting position to look at, where grow yourself, and then accept others. And that's where we wrap it all the way back to those virtuous friendships that Aristotle was talking about, where they should be selfless and we should be seeking to help each other reach our full potential.
So I'm curious how you think going forward, right? We express what we were trying to express in these emails to each other in a more constructive way. How do we do that so that our friendships don't have all of these teenage angsty daggers still stuck in them? What do we do to bring it into a new space?
I think that's a really heavy question. I don't know. I think it depends so much on the situation that you're in, but I do think that one of the things that is so important to remember is at the end of the day, both sides of any relationship have a person, and understanding that that person is an imperfect being, and approaching it in that way with the idea that, like, no matter the outcome, we need to better each other here, right? Like, when you are to the point where you are friends that are having a blow up breakup, um, friend breakup, you were clearly in that virtuous state, right? So really the virtuous friendships are the ones that we're going to get upset about. I think you just have to approach it with the idea that, like, we're going to help each other reach our full potentials here. And even if it hurts to hear something or it hurts to say something, knowing what that allows you to do for next steps is so key. Like, in that email that we both sent, like, I think we were trying to hurt each other. Like, that was the goal. But I think that the goal could have been, like, hey, I'm going to help Matt understand that, like, here was the reason that this didn't work out, is because I needed to feel like I was more emotionally invested and that this other person was more emotionally invested, and that wasn't happening. So, like, there's some real growth for me there. And what I was trying to help you understand is, like, hey, like, this is not all on one person. Like, we all have something to learn and grow from here. And here are some of the things that you need to grow from. And I think that we needed to get to the point where we felt comfortable hearing that from each other. And I mean, if we had felt comfortable, we wouldn't have stopped being friends for that period of time, because we would have just said that to each other and we would have grown from it. I made a short story long, as I often do, but I think that the idea is you have to approach that communication from a place of improvement. And as soon as you have improvement as the focus, it's no longer hurtful, it's constructive.
Right. I think a question that came into mind as you were so beautifully explaining that is, how do I leave you better than I found you? If you can go with the mentality of things change, people change, we're in each other's lives for as much time as we're meant to be, how can I have the maximum positive impact on your life for as much time as I have with you?
That is such a good point. And I think it's so beautiful to say, how do I maximize the positive impact that I have on you as a person while we're in each other's lives? Maybe you're in each other's lives for 50 years. Maybe you're in each other's lives for 5. But I should always walk away from you better than I found you, both me as a person and you as a person. And I think that's a beautiful way to approach any relationship, but especially friendships. We've talked a lot about friendship and the changing aspects of it, and we might be actually coming to a near close. But one thing I do want to talk about and spend some time with is ending friendships. And we talked about the blow-ups and everything. Walk me through some of those experiences for you.
They've all been traumatic. It's all been something based out of some sort of traumatic story. I cannot think of a friendship where it was just like we just naturally tapered off or we just grew in separate directions. It was always an acknowledgement of that, and me, I think, trying to make it wrong in somebody else. It's like, you're not growing in the same direction, so I'm going to grow away from you. Instead of just being like, it's all right. And I wish you well. And did I leave you better than I found you? That wasn't my mentality. It was a lot of times I saw people not giving back to me in the same way and made that wrong instead of being open to what ways are they giving to me. So it was always something traumatic. It was always a big deal. nothing ever naturally just sort of came to a close. And I think that's just easier than accepting that people have flaws and accepting that no matter how close you are to somebody, whether you're married to them, whether they're your acquaintance, that there's probably always going to be something that somebody else does that doesn't resonate with you. And again, big lesson, huge thing that I want everyone to take away from this is that I think friendship is about accepting the whole person, and I wasn't willing to do that.
That's so interesting to me, though, because I think to see it that way, where mine just kind of peter out and then all of a sudden they're just gone, versus you who has these knockout dragouts with every relationship that ends. Then what do you think is the difference there? Why does that happen? It's so interesting to me.
Well, you talk about having a taste for drama. You're talking to a Scorpio moon here. And I think being younger, I didn't have quite the handle on that I have now. And so that led for some big drama and almost want and need for that drama. But I think for me, I had to have a reason. It was like, why did this end? And it just fizzling out or like us growing in separate directions wasn't enough for me to justify it. But a fight or a big blow up or some event that just altered everything gave me a reason to say that's why we're not friends anymore.
So you were looking for a reason, you were looking for closure, whereas maybe from my end, it's more of like, we could be friends again sometime if we wanted to. So I'm kind of like keeping that avenue open, but just neither one of us is actively engaged in it. Because I do feel like I could go back, and I do with some regularity go back to people that I used to be really tight with and just say, hey, we haven't talked in a while. How are things going? And I feel like I can do that because we didn't have that knockout, drag out fight. So maybe it's just a difference in approach and kind of the things that we're looking for. We've talked a lot about our friendship and the other friendships that we have had throughout life. And of course, last week, we threw it back to my main man, Aristotle, talked about the astrology of friends. What is your key takeaway? What are the things that you're walking away from these episodes with?
Knowing your astrology and the astrology of the people around you can be a really awesome way to accept that we are all imperfect, that we all have stuff going on. Having a context to explain it and not having somebody have to defend why they do something, but just seeing it in this sort of unbiased way can be really, really helpful so that we're not coming up against experiences that we can't handle and then define our lives and our friendships in this way. What I'm taking from today too is how can we leave each other better than we found each other for however much time we are lucky enough to be in each other's lives? How can we create more love and acceptance for the people around us? And how can we value the growth that comes from being able to relate to people in this way, whether we grow together with somebody or whether we grow apart?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think for me, one of the biggest things that I can take away from this is how do we walk away from a relationship leaving the other person better than we found them? And I think that's not even at the end, right? That's like day-to-day basis. How did I improve you and how did you improve me today and how did we improve ourselves? I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. I think if I were to maybe pick some other ones, I don't know that I have any other. There's a lot to learn, but I think like my key takeaway is just to focus on the relationships that are important to me, making those relationships better. And I think that that's moving down that bell curve of saying like, I'm going to put the energy that I have into the relationships that I really, really like cherish. And I think that that's a great way to move through life.
And starting with you. How can you start with you? What's going on with you? Everything that you're trying to project onto somebody else, how can you bring it back to why am I being triggered by this? What's going on for me? Starting with that man or woman in the mirror. Our tarot pull for this week comes from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. So I guess it's an oracle card this week, which is something new and different. Yay. The oracle card chosen for this week is Break the Chain. And it has to do with breaking ancestral patterns, healing, and rewriting our future. I think this card has to do directly with what we've been talking about over the past 2 episodes of friendship. How can you break the negative patterns that you've set for yourself in your friendships up to this point and create some new, lasting, and healthy relationships and patterns for yourself going forward? What's not serving you? What's not working? And looking at it from your end to decide what you're no longer going to stand for, where your boundaries are, and how you want to express love to people moving forward.
The psychological wellness tip this week is a double bonus. You're getting 2 for the price of 1. The first wellness tip is to let go of your ego. There have been a couple of studies done that have shown that we are becoming increasingly egotistical and self-absorbed. And that's not to say that we are bad people. It's just the way the world is moving. And so in saying let go of your ego, I'm telling you to focus on the people around you and focus on those friendships and work to better them. The secondary piece of that is to take a social media break, detox, other buzzwords. The idea here, and they go hand in hand with the ego, but the idea here is we don't want to create that falseness in our lives and keep our friends real. So even if it's a long distance friendship, that's fine. Give those people a call instead of just liking every photo in their 50 photo album on Facebook. Give them a call. So there you have it. Let go of your ego. Take a social media detox. Embrace your friends around you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Full Circle, the Magic Mindset Podcast. If you want to learn more about us or hear previous episodes, you can visit lealily.com/Full Circle Podcast. There you can find previous episodes and also our show notes where we include previous tarot pulls, links, and more extras from each of our episodes. You can also engage with us on Twitter at @FullCircle_POD. And we also have a community on Facebook under Full Circle, the Magic Mindset Podcast, where we hope to communicate and talk with you. You can share your insights, your thoughts on our themes, and more in that community. If you want to listen to more of our episodes, we are on Spotify and iTunes, and also on my website. We release new episodes every Monday. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.